I received a letter that you wrote me on a dark, cold and cloudy day, reminding me on the side of the road, you'll find a light, you'll find a friend, you'll find a way. Well, today I'm feeling all broke down. I ain't got the faintest clue about what to do. Can't comprehend the situation at hand, so I try my best just to get back home to you. Come on now, keep on walking now, yes I will. Keep on talking about it, yes I will. Keep on singing about it, yes I will. Keep on ringing out. I believe that what you sing to the clouds will come back to you when the sun's gone away. And I believe that what you dream to the moon will manifest before you rest another day. So stay strong and sleep long when you need to. Let the morning take you out on through the day. Yeah. And when you find you're at the end of the road, just lift your head up, spread your wings and fly away. Come on, y'all. Keep on walking now, yes I will. Keep on talking about it, yes I will. Keep on singing about it, yes I will. Keep on ringing it out. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Sing that with me, come on. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. When you're lost and alone, the rainbow comes. When you're lost and alone, that's when the rainbow comes. When you're lost and alone, that's when the rainbow comes. When you're lost and alone, that's when the rainbow comes. When you're lost and alone, that's when the rainbow comes. When you're lost and alone, that's when the rainbow comes. When you're lost and alone, that's when the rainbow comes. When you're lost and alone, that's when the rainbow comes for you.
Happy Sunday, New Dawn. Let's have a prayer. As we take that deep breath and follow it down to that heart space, we know that when we are in that heart space, we are communing with who we very are. We are communing with that divine spirit, universal intelligence, as I like to call it, God. We're communing with and allowing that our oneness with that power and that presence to just blossom forward, to shine out into the world. And I know in this moment that each and every one in this building, each and every one within the sound of my voice or listening later online, is also piece and part of the eternal wholeness that we all are. And knowing this and knowing that today we come together to celebrate that oneness. Today we come together in service to hear a beautiful message from one of the most enlightened beings we'll ever hear. So I give deep thanks for aLuna's presence here today to share with us her brilliance. And I also give thanks for every hand that has a part in this day. For Russell, who does such a great job keeping us organized. For Travis and his AV brilliance, and today his guitar brilliance as well. For Ken and the music that lights us all up. For our ushers, for our hospitality, for the leadership council that keeps us moving in the right direction, for our ushers, and for our hospitality team. We give great thanks for everyone who is here, putting their hands and their heart into this beautiful service today. And moving forward through the day, I know that we will all feel that love and that oneness that we truly are. So with great gratitude and thanksgiving, I simply call this day blessed and a blessing. And together we anchor that in by saying, and so it is. I got a little carried away with the words of wisdom today. We got one too many. Sometimes the greatest kindness we could receive would be to have someone expect more from us than we do, because they see more clearly our divine heritage. That's by Henry Eyring, who is a Mormon professor at BYU, in Hawaii, no less. When we embrace our divine identity, we will not forget that God loves and values us infinitely. We understand that despite very painful mortal challenges, God's very work and glory is here to help us develop and grow, become like Him, and gain eternal joy. We remember that one of God's gifts to all of us is of moral agency, the ability to choose and act for ourselves. By John Pengree. And of course, I wouldn't be complete without having Eric Butterworth in there. But the greatest mistake is in believing that we are only human. We are human in expression, but divine in creation and limitless in potentiality. And from Michael Beckwith, I believe that you're great, that there's something magnificent about you. Regardless of what has happened to you in your life, regardless of how young or old you think you might be, the moment you begin to think properly, this something that's within you, this power within you that's greater than the world, will begin to emerge. It will take over your life. It will feed you. It will clothe you. It will guide you, protect you, direct you, sustain your very existence if you let it. Now that is what I know for sure. Well, I have the cheat sheet to read to you about aLuna, but then I'll tell you about her. aLuna Chen is a seasoned science mind practitioner working and licensed for over 17 years. She began her career answering the call at World Ministry of Prayer, supporting people all over the world with her dynamic healing energy. A skilled and sought-after practitioner, she has counseled hundreds of clients through the teaching of science mind principles. She ministers to her own thriving private practice while serving in many positions in Lakewood, Colorado, where her license is held at Mile High Church. Her scope of work in the world includes facilitating workshops, speaking around the country, and officiating rites of passage such as weddings, memorials, and transformational rituals that serve the needs of her community and the world at large. Her passionate curiosity is currently calling her to weave the wisdom of science mind with cutting-edge neuroscience and our new understanding of the brain. She can be contacted through her email, and I have it, just ask. Look for her new website coming soon. On a personal note, aLuna has been my personal practitioner for 14 years. That speaks to the importance of having a practitioner and a working relationship with one. Because she doesn't like it when I say it, but I'm not sure I'd still be on the planet if it wasn't for her. And I darn sure know I wouldn't have graduated and got as far as I did. She has been with me through some of the lowest lows, including sitting with me as my son died, and through the highest highs. And I'm so grateful, not just to call her my practitioner, but to call her my friend. And I can't wait for you guys to hear her and fall in love with her as well.
Oh, well, welcomes. Thank you for your warm and wonderful welcome here. It has been so heart-filling. You know, and as I was sitting here, I was like, I just love this room. I feel so much energy and love. And then I realized that the house that I grew up in had wood like this, right? Like on the sides, on the tops, on the bottom. And so I kind of feel like I'm being held right now. So I just want to thank everyone. Ken for playing Michael Franti. I don't know if you know Michael Franti, but if you ever go see him in concert, it's like 20,000 people at church. Seriously, it's a oneness experience. It's amazing. And Travis, thank you for helping me. They put me in charge of my own clicker, so let's see how that goes. That hasn't happened before. And Denise, thank you for just welcoming and inviting me here. Yeah. So when I saw that this month New Dawn was working with abundance, I thought, what perfect alignment, right? Because when we look around us, we're talking about the abundance of the time of harvest. Okay, so that's what came down for me in terms of a title. It was Sacred Harvest, Receiving and Accepting Our Divine Destiny. And our divine destiny isn't something way out there, maybe someday I'll get to. It's right here and right now. So anytime that you hear me speak, I'm always going to start with oneness, because that's our foundation. That puts us in the right place, right? Our coordinates are correct when we start with oneness. And in my opinion, there's no greater expression of oneness than the earth. Look to the earth. It is the representation of the oneness of all. So I thought today I'm going to start with earth as our oneness, get out of your head, and shed the dead. And I mean that in the most holy way, like a snake that sheds its skin, right? When we look to the earth and we see the seasons and the cycles, it will teach us what we need to know. Okay, let's see if I got it. Yeah. So when I saw this, it reminded me of Buckminster Fuller. Anyone know Buckminster Fuller? An American architect, systems theorist, writer, designer, inventor, philosopher, futurist. He was amazing, right? And I remember when I was reading about him, and he said, everyone should have a picture of the earth and carry it with them at all times. So one time I went into the dollar store, and they had these little earth keychains. I bought like 25. I gave them to everyone. And it was like, every time you use your car, every time I pick this up, can I remember the sacred oneness that we're actually all a part of, which is so easy to lose, right? We forget that. But when we just hold that vision, that's the oneness outside of us, now how do I bring that oneness within me, right? I'm going to talk a lot. So the way I see our teaching is that there's principle and then there's personal. Okay, so there's these principal truths of oneness, which I can see, I look to like the North Star. But am I personally always experiencing oneness? I don't know about you, but not me, right? So I have to move between the two. And that's where I see the figure 8. So I hold this star, this compass, and then I come down and I see what's my next step personally. So this is our compass. We keep coming back to the oneness of the earth and awakening ourselves to that truth. Yes. And when we look to the earth, we see that the earth is constantly guiding us. Okay? It's constantly moving through this cycle, and each piece and part has wisdom. I'm going to jump a little here because it's come into my head, but there's this beautiful book which talks about mothering. Okay, maybe I can't remember the title. But it says the 3 most important things that we need as a child is nurturance, protection, and guidance, right? And if we didn't get any of those, we're going to be looking for that in our life. And when I see the earth, I'm like, here's our mother guiding us, right? So maybe you didn't get that guidance in your life, but we have it right here in front of us, okay? Also, I'm going to jump in, I see it as the 5 steps of prayer, right? Because think about it. When we start at winter solstice, which I see at the bottom, right? We start at winter solstice, which is the return of the light, the return of the Christ consciousness. God is, right? God is. And then we start moving up until we get to the spring, right? When things are coming alive and we see baby ducks and little baby things. I am. God is I am, right? When we hit the pinnacle of the sunlight, summer solstice, it's like we're in the realization stage, right? Therefore, right? When we do our prayer, God is, I am, therefore. Therefore, everything is possible. Just like the full height of the sun, everything is possible. And then we start that wane of letting go, of releasing. What do we release into? The sacred harvest, right? We come into that time where we're gathering all that we have put forth that's coming back to us, and then we move into release. This happens over and over, every year. And it's how much are we aware of it, right? And when's the last time you woke up at spring and thought, oh my God, spring again? Like, we might say that about winter, okay? But do you see what I'm saying? There's no part of us that goes, why are we doing the same thing over and over again? Grasshopper, why are we? Right? Because each step, like a spiral, we're going deeper, we're learning more, we're receiving, we're moving in that way. So right here on the wheel, which is the representation of the earth, we are in the time, we come into fall equinox, which brings us into balance, and then we begin to gather the harvest, right? And so when we're in the harvest, it's brilliant, it's beautiful. Look at the light, look at the trees, yes? But we have to get out of our head to be able to receive what is here, okay? Henry David, love him. You must live in the present. Launch yourself on every wave. Find your eternity in each moment. Fools stand on their islands of opportunity and look towards another land. There is no other land. There There is no life but this, right? So we have to wake up and bring ourselves to this present moment to be able to receive the harvest that's around us. And when we do that, we have to become available. Available. So that we're here, awake, to see the good that is here for me to receive. And stress won't allow us to rest and digest. Okay? So when we are in resting and digesting, literally, what does it say? We can take in nutrients. We can take in nourishment. We can absorb it and receive it. But when we're up in the stress, which usually is in our mind, right? Because anything can be going on, but we're making a story up about it and we're making a narrative. And that's going to take us out of the present moment where we can actually receive what is ours to nourish us, to bless us, to open us. Anybody get into some Emma Curtis Hopkins? This is a book. This is a book. Let me tell you, okay? So we are to see spirit. And the more spirit that we see, the more perfectly we see things. For all things are waiting to be looked upon by us as they really are. I'm going to read that again so that we can digest that, right? We can receive it, absorb it. We are to see spirit. And the more of spirit that we see, the more perfectly we see things. For all things are waiting to be looked upon by us as they really are. We could talk for 20 minutes just about this, right? Yeah. Because first of all, where are we seeing from? Are we seeing from principle? That's what I hear her saying. We are to see spirit. And the more we see spirit, the more we see spirit, right? And that everything is waiting to be seen as the spirit that it is. Or, which most of us are, and I too am a part of that, we are seeing from personal. Okay? The brain doesn't actually see what is in the moment. The brain is predictive. It has a catalog of what has ever happened, and it brings to the moment and it predicts what it thinks is happening. Okay? Which is why for centuries people have been trying to just be in the present moment. Because you can kind of go, wow, this is all we're doing, trying to be in the present moment. But think about what they knew before we could prove that the brain, out of its scarcity, it really is afraid there isn't enough glucose. I'd like to tell my brain, there's plenty of glucose now, right? Just go to Walmart, just go to King Super. There's enough sugar to, right? But the brain is still predictive from this scarcity place that there isn't enough. And I can't waste the resources to actually see what this moment is. So that's always our invitation. Not to see from the personal, and I just love this, and as I'm talking, I'm going to let you. Not to see from the personal, or to recognize when you're seeing from the personal. That's the first step. Oh, curious. Look at how I'm seeing this, right? But to remind ourselves that everything is waiting to be seen from and as spirit. And isn't this beautiful? When I saw this, it's like our eyes are also the world. Literally, right? Because what we see is what we project. And look at that beautiful circle, physically, right? So we're at a choice point here. We're always at a choice point to see and name the truth and to notice when we're dropping in to that which has been of the past, our experience of the past. Paul Nepo writes, "We become obsessed with making the world in our own image rather than opening the spirit within us to the spirit of what is." Right? So when we drop the personal perspective, which is predicated on our past experience, and we meet and greet this present moment, we can actually see what's here. The beauty of this room, reminding me of my childhood. Right? That's such a gift. I'm really going to hold that with me for quite a while. So when we come into the present moment, we see it, and we allow it to touch us. So in order to receive our harvest, we have to see it, we have to become available, and then we have to accept it. Now when I wrote that, I was thinking, accept it, like, I just have to accept the way it is. But really, it's accept it. Thank you, yes, I'll take this. But accepting and seeing and accepting what it is how we accept it, right? And then it starts to nourish us. Think about it. If I don't accept myself, then I don't see who I really am. And how often do we not accept pieces and parts and fragments of ourselves? Oh boy, I don't know if this orange looks good today. It doesn't go good with my skin, and then I'm going to look, right? Instead of basking in the way that Denise sees me, which is a very big shoe to fill, that's not how I feel. But what if I just accepted that? Wow. Yes, and. Remember that. Yes, and. Instead of either or, right? Yes, I'm a little concerned about the orange on my skin, and I'm brilliant. And I get to share that. And we're all brilliant. And we get to share that. And when we do, it nourishes and blesses us. It grows us. Okay? So when we do these steps, what else does it bring to us? When we see things as they really are, it allows us to know what must be shed. If we don't really see things for what it is, then we're not even clear what's mine, what's not, what's alive, what's nourishing, what's dead in my life, in my being, right? Which brings you to this beautiful, beautiful verse, which probably all of us know. But let us just receive it now in this moment. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to throw away stones and a time to gather up stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. That's why I love the representation of the earth, because it doesn't exclude anything. You know, sometimes in our teaching, we want to keep We want to keep the smile on. We want to hold the truth. And yes, when we're holding principle as the guiding star, as long as we're connecting with what's going on personal, right? But the earth doesn't jump over a season, right? Like there's a time to come in, to rest, to shed, to let go, and to be empty. You know, and I think that this would be a great lesson for some of our economists. Because when you look at the way the country is led, we have this, I believe, an unrealistic idea that the economy is always and can only keep growing, and we have to grow it. And what are we going to do to grow it? And where's the growing? It's like everything has a season, a cycle, a time, and that there's nothing wrong or bad about that. Right? And so I invite you in that not only do we have the sacred harvest of this time, but we have the shedding and the letting go. And that is not only of what part of me no longer serves me, what belief, what thought, what pattern. Maybe it's what relationship, what job, what era, what phase of my life, right? And at the same time, this is the time where people are honoring their dead, right? So we're coming up this week to Dias de los Muertos, and honoring the dead. And then the Christians would do that with Day of the Dead and All Souls Day, right? It's a necessary piece and part in the cycle that regenerates and brings us into rebirth. So I invite you, if you don't already, I invite you this week to build an altar. Okay? Now, some of us have altars, and I do. I have an altar that I pretty much keep, and it stays all the same. But we want to bring life to it. We want to keep reinvigorating it. We want to change it. We want to lift it up, right? And you can have more than one in your house. But make an altar to that which you are shedding. Yes, you can honor your the loved ones that have gone, because that which we are shedding is also something we want to honor, right? We're not just letting go as like, oh, get out of here. It's like, oh, come here, thank you. Thank you for all that you have been. Thank you for all that you have brought. Thank you for all that you have taught me. And then the movement from the internal to the external will bring you so much information. There's a beautiful book. Okay, the other thing I tell everyone, which I really, really encourage you all, there's a great podcast called Hidden Brain. And it brings the union of the newest neuroscience with our psychology. So we behave in ways mostly because of our brain. So right there, you can let go. You don't have to take everything so personal. Seriously, right? So it's a beautiful podcast. And last night, this week's podcast is talking about emotions and how we get swept up in emotions when we're in groups. And it also talked about ritual. And the thing that I thought was so curious about ritual, because see, this is a ritual. This is a ritual. When my daughter was young, I would recreate the altar right in the family space so that there was a representation of what was going on. Oh, this is fall. Now we're moving into Chinese New Year in that in-between place. Now we're in spring, right? So this is a ritual that takes us inside out. And when I start to pull it together, it tells me information about myself. It's like, oh, okay, so here's the basket of abundance and harvest. Yes, we have to bring that. That's what's happening now. Here's my higher self. I'm not always this beautiful being of light and angel, but there's my North Star, right? And then it's like I want to have fire. I brought my mermaid for water. Right? And also joy, because there's a part of me that wants to have joy. In here I have my giveaway that I bless the earth, and that's the earth. And then today when I set it up, what did I say? I don't have air. What? Oh, I didn't bring any air. So then the blessings of people here brought their feathers, right? But so you get to see what it looks like and what it means to you. And here's a beautiful representation of all the turns of the season. And actually in here are all these affirmations I wrote one year that it's time to let this go. And I saw that this morning and I thought, oh, here's my shed, right? I'm holding the space of the circle and the blessing, but here's what I'm going to shed. So I invite you into this practice. We can't just live in our minds. Science of mind cannot just be concepts out there. They have to be brought into the personal down here. And when we do ritual, which is so important right now, it helps us control our anxiety. They know this. They know this now. So that think about, what ritual do you have that might control your anxiety? We were talking about it on the way here with my husband. He exercises, right? Someone else might clean their house, right? It's curious, we get in these rituals we're not even aware of, maybe walking the dog or eating certain things, right? That's helping us soothe our brain and our nervous system, okay? And when we do rituals together, it lifts us all, right? Every single culture has a ritual around death because it's the greatest thing that brings us anxiety. It's the biggest unknown. Every single culture has a ritual around death, and when we do it together, we're lifted. So I invite you this week to not turn away from that which you are shedding, that which is letting go, or any deaths that have taken place. Bring it in to your heart, into your space, and make it alive so that you can work with it in a way that nourishes, blesses, that you get to receive and you get to accept. Yes, I just heard that lovely bell. That's exactly right. It's time for me to pray. See the perfection? You just have to let go and let it in. So I know right here that there is a collective heart resonance. That is also true what happens when we create ritual as a collective. This church, Sunday service, that's a ritual where we come together and move into the understanding of one. So I'm so grateful to be awake, alive, and aware of the beauty and the brilliance of the harvest and the nourishment and all that is letting go, that I'm releasing, that we are all collectively releasing at this time. For I know that that opens space to receive more grace. So I just say yes, yes, full permission granted to move in deeper to all that actually is and to see it with the eye of love. That each and every one of us is love, loved, and the beloved. And that when we lead with love and let love lead, all good things take place, even here, in the dark, even now, in letting go. So I'm so grateful to lift up and look up, to release this now onto the law, knowing that it can and shall not return back void. It does and must and is transformed. The alchemy of the lesser to the greater. We release this fully, so then we can receive it in. We can let it begin. For I know in the one, you see, it's already done. It's already here. It's already now. And we just let it be. Collective we say, and so it is.